Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to work on a nice reel. This is a Daiwa Regal, and this one's just come in from basic service from George. And we're going to take this reel apart. We'll show you how it gets serviced and how to keep this one fishing for a long time to come. This is the Regal LT2500D-XH. Boy, it's a mouthful with 10 ball bearings in it. It's a nice reel. I notice we have a little bit of gathering up top, and that generally means you have too many shim washers on there, but I'm not sure what this system is, so we're going to find out. We're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces and parts. I'm going to turn the handle, and I notice that the handle screw or nut on the other side is turning, so that usually means that the handle is going through the main gear. That's how you attach it. So to remove it, you remove the screw first, and then you pull out on the handle shaft, and then it's easy enough to just reattach that so you don't lose that piece and part, and then put them into a parts tray so that you can locate that when it's time to do the reassembly. Well, I'm going to continue taking off those pieces and parts, and as I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting, and well, you can make a decision as to whether that's a video that you want to go see. The channel covers all kinds. Today we're working on an inshore or a freshwater spin fishing reel. Tomorrow we may be working on a big trolling reel for the ocean, followed by a bassing low profile reel. Alright, we're going to take all of these stack off. Notice that there is a little shim washer, 2 bearings, another washer underneath for the spool height, and well, good place to tell you to take some pictures as you're removing these pieces and parts. That way you'll be able to see the order and the sequence that you remove them, and well, how to put them back together again. Alright, so we have the base washer, we have the click, we have 2 bearings separated by a little shim washer, and then a spool adjuster, kind of in this order. So, and then there's a small washer up top. Okay, I'm going to take those and put those into my parts tray so I don't lose those. I guess that's 2 of the 10 bearings in there. And we have a rotor nut that is held down by a retention screw. So let's go ahead and take that off. And interestingly enough, I left one of those little shim washers right in my on my table. Easy to lose pieces and parts, that's for sure. Looks like we need a micro screwdriver for this. I keep my tools close by because a lot of times you're just not aware of what's going to be needed when you open these up. One way to find out a little bit more is to go get the schematic for the reel before you get started. I'm just trying to find the right wrench here. The wrench that I'm going to use, you could use a flat wrench for this, an open face box wrench, because there isn't much of a lip on there, but I'm going to use the deep socket to enable me to get this off. I'll take the nut and we'll put that into our parts tray as well, and then we'll remove the rotor from the top. Check underneath the rotor. One of the things I like to do with these is to put a squirt of penetrating oil onto the seams of the bail and the line roller. That just helps me to work on it, keep it clean and free of debris. And you can see that the trip mechanism is down here. That trip mechanism can get oiled. And just make sure that they're nice and clean. That's big enough that I can leave that on the outside. I'm going to leave the spool and the retention cup on the outside as well. Alright, well, I wanted to get underneath that because I wasn't sure when I removed the case if I had to remove the rotor. The case is held on by Torx screws. I have a set of these. They're drivers. They're from Milwaukee. And you can see I've removed the 2 because I planned ahead a little bit. I know that it requires 2 of these to remove the screws. The first one I'm going to remove is the one that holds the bump guard on below. That'll go into my parts tray. And then this lifts off. Then that shows, well, yet again, we've got a different screw here. We have a flathead screw. So take the pictures. You need to note where the screws differ. So when it's time to put them back, you put them back in the right places. Well, we have another torque screw or two up top here. So I'm going to remove those. I want to make sure these are the same size. So if we looked at that, we had two torque screws. Then we had a Phillips head under the bump guard. And then we had a torque screw that was smaller, holding that bump guard on. With that, we should be able to remove the case now. And this reel has an instant anti-reverse override on it. Always interesting to note, there are fans out there that like them. I'm thinking of one in particular. I'm just going to use a razor knife as a wedge here. Get this case off. It's a little tight. Probably the first time that the case has been off. All right, there's the case, and this is why the reel came in for servicing. It's dry. It's been a long time since he purchased it. It hasn't been serviced. It needs oils and greases refreshed, and that's kind of what you're doing when you're doing these services. Okay, this has got that unusual setup. I think I can just remove the main gear. Well, I know this Daiwa does this, and it just kind of drives me a little bit nuts. We're going to take off the top end of this. They do this in their crossfires too. Take the two screws that are holding the retention cap in. Okay, when we remove the carrier, we have an anti-reverse clutch here, and boy, that outside of this thing looks rusted. I hope the inner workings of it are okay. The bearings seem to be okay in there. I don't know what they used for material, but that doesn't look very good. All right, let's go remove the main gear. There's a little clip here that holds the main gear in place. Okay, I had to stop the video and go get a straight pin because that's the only way I can free this clip here. It runs pretty tight into that main gear. You can see it like that. Very small clip, but it rides in a groove in the main gear and it holds the base on. With that clip removed, we should be able to pull the main gear out now. Well, it looks like we're still stuck there. Let's come back up top. We're going to take that bearing clip off. This is one of those things that happens, I know, on the crossfire when I work on it. And I guess this is just the way that Daiwa's decided to make these reels. There's two small screws that are holding your cap on for your retainer clip on your pinion gear. Again, take the clips, put them into a separate part in your parts tray so that you don't lose those. Now you want to pull the entire assembly up on this. That'll take the pinion gear and the like out. And now, there's two posts holding this cross wind gear in place. Those come out. Notice one's longer than the other, the long one on that side, the short one here. And with the clearance now, we should be able to move that aside, bring our main gear through, and then bring the cross line block and the post out. And I'm noticing that we do have another bearing underneath that pinion gear there. That's kind of sitting in the case, so just be aware of this one is in the case. So this is your case bearing. Okay, wow, that is a lot of work and effort for a small reel like this. The case is clean, it needs grease, I guess you could remove that oscillation gear, but there's no indication that there's any dirt or anything around there. It's just dry. We'll go ahead and do that. Inspect the teeth. Make sure that the teeth are uniform and clean. And we just want to reverse the process now. We want to put the shaft back in here. That's going to require us to have the bearing back in place in that stand. That's in place. Now we can bring our axle shaft crosswind block up. Put that off to the side for a moment. And bring that bar all the way down. And we'll lubricate the main gear. I'll just notice as I brought that through, I have that washer that I'm going to need to put on there. There's also a little tension washer that goes on there as well. Okay, just swing that out to the side, put the main gear in. I'll bring this back up over the stud. And then the short one goes on the right hand side. These are the guideposts. Okay. First guidepost goes in like that. The long guidepost on the other side comes through this side of the case. All right, we're good with that. Let's take the bearing off, oil the bearing. Check the teeth and get the dirt out from the tracks of that pinion gear. Use a hard brush to do that. And once they're clean, go ahead and reapply the greases. Again, use fishing reel grease. And then we have those two little washers. And then we have our pinion gear. And we have our bearing. So it's kind of an oddball way to get your pieces and parts out, but it's their design. And holding those pins in, you should be able to turn this nice and easily. Now make sure it's all working properly. All right, we have a collar. I think what we're going to do is we're going to close this case up because these pins are, well, they're kind of hard to hold in place. A little bit of oil onto that back bearing. Bottom case on. On that bottom case we have the 3 screws. 2 of them are the torque screws that go up top. One of these goes below. That's the Phillips head screwdriver. Take that torque screwdriver and put that in. I don't know why they have so many tools for this, but they do, including a safety pin that you got to break open to get that other little clip out. Okay, now we can turn it. Yep, works nice and easy. Let's go ahead and put that little clip back onto the main gear. This is always fun. It's fun to take it off and it's fun to try and put it back on. Okay, so we got it. It's housed in there now. We spread the wings on it. We worked it over the top of the gears. Then we pushed it down until it seats against that bearing. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way now. I don't need the Torx screws. I don't need the larger Torx screwdriver. I have the base for the bottom now, so let's go put that on. There's a little indentation here that it rides up on. Make sure that it seats easily and that you don't put any force on when you're trying to load this. This is the other Torx screw now. And those of you that watch my channel know me and little screws don't play well together. But just be patient with it and it will work. Okay. This comes in. I want to make sure we're down with that bearing. Now we have that collar. On the collar we have an indented side that faces up. Center that collar over those two holes where you can accept those screws. I'm going to use a little bit of grease to hold that screw. It's a very small screw head, micro driver required. Okay, just finished tightening down those screws. Now we have the override. There's a swing bar here and there's a tag. And again, I don't know why that's rusted as badly as it is. Obviously something got in there. That goes on next. And our shield comes over the top. Take the two screws from our porch tray to put this back together. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, maybe you're working on one and you're stuck on a particular issue, maybe you're working on something like this, you can't figure out how to get that darn bar out, or why the main gear doesn't come out with that little clip in there, just leave those questions in the comment section. I'll try to answer them for you. All right, the collar for the anti-reverse is actually part of the rotor. Interesting design. Let's put that back on then. Okay, rotor on, glove off. Let's go ahead and put our rotor nut on. This goes on in a traditional clockwise rotation. Reverse the throw on your socket. Line that up for your set screw. Set screw with the micro driver will close this out. Make sure that that metal washer gets seated all the way down. Next was our click ratchet. Then we had a Teflon washer. Make sure that seats all the way down. First bearing. Oh, there's a little bearing shield washer. Second bearing. Small plastic washer. I see why I take my gloves off. They're very difficult to get these things set up properly. Take our handle. Handle in on the one side, handle screw in the other. Tighten that up. And all we have to do is check the drag washers on this thing, and we'll pretty much be ready to go. So we've taken this reel completely apart. It's a challenge, and if you're going to try and service a reel like this, it's best to take your time, take lots of pictures, because as you saw, it's kind of an odd sequence to a lot of this, but I guess Daiwa thought that this was a pretty good thing. Okay, once you pulled out the clip, this is what you have. 3 felt washers 2 round or keyed washers and 1 eared washer. Felt washers get oiled, so what you want to do is you want to clean out the cavity where they're going to rest. These pretty much have a lot of oil on them or grease on them. Start with the felt washer. Give it a good drink of oil. First of the keyed washers goes in. That's the one with the rectangular center. Second felt washer. Again, make sure it's appropriately oiled. The middle washer is the eared washer. Last of the felt washers. Again, repeat with the oil. Top washer for the keyed washer. And our clip. It's a retention clip. There's a groove inside the spool. You need to make sure that all the points get seated in that spool. Just like that. And we can take that and load that in. On. Let's put the adjuster button back on. We'll be able to give this one a test, see how we did. So this was very dry and noisy on the way in. We've taken it completely apart. We've re-lubed, we've re-oiled, checked all the pieces and parts, reinstalled, and here you go. Well, there you go. That's a nice example of a Daiwa Regal reel. Turns free and easy. And, well, this one's ready to go fishing again. So I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and the essential personnel, thank you for all it is that you do to keep us safe. To everyone, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. And if you have the Regal LT2500 XH 10-ball bearing system, well, you now know how to take it apart, service it, and keep it fishing for a long time to come. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thanks for watching.